The other day I watched a Hearthstone video titled 10 Cards You've Never Seen Before, and I really enjoyed the concept. Now, if you've never played Hearthstone, please keep in mind that for that video, there's only about 300 to maybe 400 cards released every single year in Hearthstone, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a lot more cards, but what that person was doing was he was listing the name of a card and then waiting a second, and then people in the comments section posted whether or not they knew the card or didn't know the card, and then when it got revealed, and he kind of talked about the whole purpose behind why those cards never saw play and why people don't remember them. And I thought it'd be a really cool idea in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now I do want to add a couple things to it because it's Yu-Gi-Oh! And not Hearthstone. I'm not only going to tell you the name. After doing that, I'll wait a second and then show you guys the picture. After that, then I'll show you the entire card. So you guys sort of have two chances to guess the cards, because I think in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because there's so many cards released every single year, it'd be really hard to guess these cards off of just the name alone. In many cases, people only know cards based on the picture, especially cards like these, which aren't part of archetypes and didn't really see a ton of play. Anyway, though, let's jump right in, and the first one is Assault Wyvern. Now, do you know what Assault Wyvern is? It's a card I've talked about a couple times, and I think the card itself isn't that bad. Does the name ring a bell? If it doesn't, maybe the image will help you out. Maybe not, though, because now that I'm looking at the image, boy, this card is like just a super generic card, but it's Assault Wyvern. It looks like that. Did that spark anybody's memory there? Well, here's what the card looks like. It's from the movie pack, so not super old, and all these cards pretty much are going to be in the last couple years, especially. I think this is the oldest card that we're showing, and Assault Wyvern is a card that I mentioned in pretty much every single pack opening from the movie pack. I think this card is like low-key kind of good. So it's when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can tribute this card, special summon one dragon type monster from your hand or graveyard except Assault Wyvern. That's not a once per turn effect. It obviously can't summon itself, but I thought it was a pretty cool idea. The idea of bringing back a dragon from the graveyard, a special summoning one from the hand, is one that we see very often in successful dragon cards like Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, and I felt that with Assault Wyvern, the card maybe just was a little too late released in Yu-Gi-Oh! To actually see play, but I feel like if this card would have been released like 5 or 10 years ago, it likely would have been seen play in a variety of dragon decks, especially in like decks like Disaster Dragon, which are from around 2011. Next up, we have Remote Rebirth. And no, I don't mean Remote Revenge, which is a completely different card from about 5 years ago. I'm talking about Remote Rebirth. Does that ring any bells to anyone? Well, if it doesn't, maybe the image will help. And this card's artwork is actually pretty crazy. So this is Remote Rebirth. Does anyone know what this card does? Probably not, but this card was released in Circuit Break, which I recently opened a ton of packs of just to try to pull Metaverse, and it says target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to an opponent's main monster zone your link monster points to. And the reason this card is a card that you've probably never seen is because, oh my god, is that a bad effect. It's a -2 when you consider that you're giving your opponent a free card and also you're losing a card, the Remote Rebirth itself. I'm sure there'll be people in the comment section that say that, oh, there's some really cool combos they can do with this. Probably the biggest downside of this card, even in the case of saying, oh, there's some combos you can do with it, is that it has to special summon a card that was in your opponent's graveyard, which means that it's pretty much completely up to them whether or not you're actually going to have something that works with this. There are some cards that you might want to give to your opponent that would sort of screw them up, but usually you'd be playing them in your deck just to combo with this card specifically. So in the case of Remote Rebirth, the reason it's so bad is because your opponent is usually going to be playing cards that they want on their side of the field, so giving them cards doesn't really do anything. I think like the only sort of plausible explanation for this card even being considered is like giving your opponent their own Ibli, but even in that case, I don't think it's very good. Did anyone know this card? Let me know in the comments. Oh, I should have mentioned, yeah, try to keep track of how many you've gotten right or wrong in the comment section below. Next up, we have Temple of the Mind's Eye. Temple of the Mind's Eye. Now, if you don't know what that name is, maybe the image will help you out here, and I imagine a couple Duel Links players do know what this card is, because I've come across this card maybe twice in Duel Links, so it's Temple of the Mind's Eye. Okay, that's all the time I'm going to give you. This is a field spell card, and it says any battle damage a player takes becomes 1,000. And this is also from Circuit Break. And the reason this card sees play in Duel Links, not the TCG, is that in Duel Links it has sort of a funny sort of cheese combo with it, and that whenever you activate this card, because there's only 4,000 life points in Duel Links, all you have to do is damage 4 times, and then it just defeats your opponent right there. The reason it doesn't see play in the TCG at all, obviously it's not like a combo card, but even if this card would have been released a long time ago, the reason it never really would have seen play is because it means that you have to do 8 times the damage. I mean, you have to do the damage 8 times, which is just way too much for a card like this. That's not really like advancing your game state at all. It's just creating a situation. It'd obviously just be easier in the case of the TCG to summon or do more than 1,000 damage with like 1,000 or more attack monsters just 8 times in a row instead of activating this card and then trying to combo with it. But did you know this card? Let me know in the comments. And moving on, we have Red-Haired Hasty Horse. Red-Haired Hasty Horse, and I'll put the image up there, and I mean, the image is exactly what you'd expect. It's a red-haired hasty horse. Does that help anyone out? And that's all time we'll give you. So this is a card that was released in Flames of Destruction, and if you went to the Flames of Destruction sneak peek, you likely played this card. I know this card was really popular at my sneak peek. It saw a little bit of experimentation in invoked decks when Flames of Destruction first came out, but really hasn't seen that much competitive use. So its effect is, if there is a column with no cards, you can special summon this card from your hand and attack position to your zone in that column. You can only special summon Red-Haired Hasty Horse once per turn this way. If another card is placed in this card's column, destroy this card. Once per turn, you can have this card's original attack for the rest of the turn, and if you do, it can attack directly this turn. So the main reason this card is played, I mean, there's a lot of text there, but pretty much it's just a free special summon level 5 monster, and it's a win. So there's a couple things you can do with that, like in invoked decks, you can use it for Raging and stuff, but in general, this card didn't see a ton of competitive use. Did you know about it? Did you not know about it? Once again, let me know in the comment section below. And lastly, we have Concentrating Current. Concentrating Current. Does anyone know what that is just off the name? Probably not. Here's the artwork, although I will say it features cards that have appeared in artwork many times before, the Symphonic Warriors. Concentrating Current. Does this artwork help anyone? Maybe, maybe not. But this is the card, and this card actually just came out in Soul Fusion, so if you open some packs with that set, maybe you've heard of this card before, but it says, target one face-up monster you control. It gains attack equal to its current defense until the end of the turn. Other monsters you control cannot attack during the turn you activate this card. So the reason this card isn't played, obviously, like in 2018, attack and defense modifiers don't really get played ever, unless it's like their bonus effect. But if that's the only thing the card does, it's not going to see a ton of competitive use. Not to mention that this card restricts your other monsters from attacking, so it's really not that viable in 2018. It's another card, though, that has those Symphonic Warriors, who usually you figure are associated with level manipulation. I feel like many of the cards that they're featured on, like Downbeat, I believe, has them in there. That's level manipulation, where this card doesn't really have anything to do with that. It's mostly just attack modification. And did you know these cards? Did you know all 5 of them? I'll put all 5 on the screen right now again. Let me know in the comment section below how many of these cards you guys actually knew, how many of them you knew before the picture was shown. I think for me personally, when I was looking for these cards, and I was just kind of digging around boxes that are sort of around my desk, many of these cards, like I definitely would not have known them from their name only. And the reason is, I feel like when many people look at Yu-Gi-Oh cards, they just don't look at the name. I mean, maybe for like archetypes, but all these cards are not from archetypes. I think in many of these cases, if you saw these cards, you probably would just read the effect and determine it was bad and then move on. I think this is a really interesting sort of example of the fact that no one really looks at the commons in their packs anymore. All of these except Assault Wyvern are just commons in recent sets, and I feel like when people open packs nowadays, and maybe even I'm sort of guilty of this as well, they just open the pack, flip forward to the rare and the super rare card or the holographic card, and then they just discard everything else. If you guys go to regionals and stuff, there's actually just stacks of commons on tables, and a lot of people just, when they open their regional packs, like the 5 packs they give you, they just open everything and throw the commons on table and take the holographic and the rares, and then they go on with their day. Most people do not spend the time to look at these common cards, especially if they're not from archetypes, and especially even more so if they're not that competitive. So let me know what you guys think about this sort of format, if I could do even more cards like this. I think it'd be kind of fun, but I really do want to know how many of these cards that you guys knew, so please let me know in the comment section below. Anyway though, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you later. I just want to say one thing before I go. I'm very excited for tomorrow's video for Halloween. I think you guys are going to like it a lot. It's I'll give you a sneak peek. It's going to be in some way related to zombie monsters, unsurprisingly, but I put a lot of work in it, and I think it's really cool, so I hope you guys enjoy it a lot. So make sure to come back tomorrow for that. And we'll probably do a live stream as well, either playing zombie decks on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro or zombie decks on the Duel Links, or maybe both. I think that could be kind of fun. I don't know if Pumpkin, the King of Ghosts, is in Duel Links, but if it is, I'll probably try to play a Pumpkin deck both in the Duel Links format and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro TCG format. Anyway though, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you later. Goodbye.